If you enjoy my videos, please like, share, and subscribe. It helps my channel grow and I will make more good videos for you. Ethan stood in the quiet garden behind their beachside home, checking the ring in his palm one last time. The diamond wasn't the biggest or the flashiest, but it had meaning. He had spent weeks finding the right one. It was vintage, delicate, something that felt like Lila. She had once said she loved things with history, stories that lived in their cracks. And Ethan had remembered that, just like he remembered everything about her. Fairy lights dangled above, swaying in the evening breeze. He'd set up a small dinner under the stars, with candles, her favorite music playing softly, and her favorite wine waiting on the table. He wore a light blue shirt, one she once said brought out the green in his eyes. He looked at the ring again. His hands were steady. He'd faced danger, led missions in war zones, disarmed explosives, but tonight asking Lila to marry him made his heart beat like a war drum. He heard the sliding door open behind him. She stepped out barefoot, her hair loose, wearing one of his oversized shirts and a soft smile. "You're up to something," she said, her tone teasing. Ethan smiled. "You know me too well." She walked over and took his hand. Her fingers were cold. He noticed but didn't say anything. Instead, he pulled her closer and kissed her forehead. "Sit," he said, guiding her to the table. Dinner first. The meal was simple: pasta, garlic bread, salad, comfort food. They laughed, talked about nothing important, and watched the sky darken. The sound of waves crashing nearby filled the silences. Then Ethan stood. He didn't say much. Just pulled the box from his pocket, got on one knee, and opened it. "Lila," he said, voice low and honest, "I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Whatever comes next, I want it with you. Will you marry me?" For a moment, she just looked at him. Her eyes shimmered. She didn't gasp or cry right away. She looked like she couldn't breathe. Then she whispered, "Yes." He slipped the ring onto her finger. She was shaking. He thought it was from emotion. She kissed him hard, as if something was slipping away and she wanted to hold it tighter. But when they pulled apart, he saw it, the flicker in her eyes. Not just surprise. Not just love. But fear. Real fear. Later that night, after they'd finished a second glass of wine and danced barefoot on the deck under the moonlight, Ethan was cleaning up the dishes while Lila stepped into the shower. He was humming an old tune from their early days when his phone buzzed. Text. Unknown number. No contact saved. The message read, "Protect her." They found her. Ethan stared at the screen. His body went cold. He read it again and again. He was trained for this: sudden changes, threats hidden in shadows, danger without warning. But this message wasn't vague. It was targeted. It wasn't about him. It was about Lila. He went to the bedroom and found her towel drying her hair. She smiled at him. That soft smile again. But now it looked different. She looked tired. He didn't say anything about the message. Not yet. Instead, he sat beside her on the bed, kissed her shoulder, and said, "You okay?" She paused. "Yeah. Just overwhelmed, maybe. It's a big night." He nodded. But he didn't believe her. That night, he didn't sleep much. He lay beside her, watching her breathing. At one point, she murmured something in her sleep, a name or a place he couldn't tell. Then she turned away from him, curling up like she was protecting herself. By dawn, Ethan had made a decision. He pulled out an old secure phone from a hidden drawer in his office. He hadn't used it in years. He sent a message to a contact he hadn't spoken to in over 5 years. "Need a trace. Urgent. Incoming message from unknown. Catching metadata. E." Less than 10 minutes later, he got a ping. No sender location. Routed through multiple proxies. Someone wanted to stay hidden, but they knew who he was. And they knew Lila. By noon, things got worse. They had gone out for breakfast, walking down to a local cafe they liked. Lila had seemed more relaxed, laughing even, pointing out a dog that reminded her of one she'd had as a child. But when they came back, the front door was ajar. Ethan told Lila to stay behind him. The house looked normal at first. Nothing overturned. No broken glass. But as they moved through the rooms, he noticed small things. The drawer in his office had been opened, only the one with personal files, not valuables. A framed photo had been moved slightly. His gun safe hadn't been touched. But when they got to the attic, Lila stopped cold. Her old photo albums. Gone. He turned to her. "Did you move them?" She shook her head, wide-eyed. No. No, I haven't looked at those in years." "Are you sure?" She nodded. Finn looked around. They hadn't taken electronics, jewelry, money. Not even his laptop, which sat out on his desk. Only the albums. That night, he watched Lila more closely. She looked lost, like someone whose past had caught up all at once. Over dinner, he finally asked, "Lila, is there something I should know?" She looked up. "What do you mean?" "The message. The break-in. The photo albums. Someone's targeting you." She looked away. "Maybe it's just a coincidence." "You don't believe that." Silence. Ethan reached across the table and took her hand. "I don't care what it is. I just want the truth. Are you in danger?" She pulled her hand back slowly. Her voice was barely a whisper. "I think I've always been." He stared at her, waiting. "I didn't mean to bring this into your life," she said. "I thought I could outrun it." "Outrun what?" She didn't answer. She just stood and walked to the window. The night outside was calm, quiet, stars blinking like secrets overhead. Finn stood too, stepping closer to her. "I can't protect you if I don't know what's coming." She looked at him, her eyes full of things he didn't understand yet. "I'm sorry," she said. "But some things you're safer not knowing." "That's not your choice anymore," he said, firmer now. "We're getting married, Lila. I need the truth." She blinked, then looked down at the ring on her finger. "I wasn't supposed to fall in love with you," she whispered. "I was supposed to disappear again." "Disappear?" he asked, stunned. "Lila, what are you talking about?" She looked up, her expression soft but haunted. "I've had other names. Other lives. But this was the first one that felt real." Finn felt like the floor shifted beneath him. Before he could ask more, her phone rang from the kitchen. She froze. He ran to it and checked the caller ID. Unknown number. He picked it up, putting it on speaker. "Who is this?" A voice came through, distorted, scrambled. "Male. You have no idea what she's hiding. But if you love her, get her out. Now." Then the call cut off. Finn looked at Lila. Her face was pale. He didn't ask more questions that night. He simply went to his office, started packing a go bag, checked the surveillance system, and began scanning for trackers. Whoever was after her, they weren't amateurs. But neither was he. As he worked, he glanced back at the woman he loved, the one who had just said yes, the one who had once told him he made her feel safe. He knew one thing for sure. That proposal had changed everything. And nothing about their life was going to be simple again. Ethan had always trusted his instincts. They'd kept him alive more than once in his past life, through ambushes, double crosses, and missions that never made it into the reports. But nothing had ever unsettled him like this feeling now, sitting in his own home beside the woman he thought he knew better than anyone, and realizing there were entire years of her life she had never told him about. Lila moved through the house like a shadow that morning. Quiet, distant, distracted. Her hands trembled slightly when she poured her coffee. She tried to smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. He didn't ask any questions yet. He watched. Waited. When she went to the grocery store, insisting she be quick and refusing to let him come, Ethan turned to the tools he knew best. He opened his secure laptop, used an alias that still had access to a backdoor database, and began searching. He started with her full name, Lila Jensen, age 28, born in Oregon. But the birth certificate he pulled up looked off. It was a digital scan uploaded only 4 years ago. The font didn't match the rest of the state records. The metadata had been altered. He dug deeper. No school records before the age of 19. No social media activity before she met him. Even her driver's license had been issued in California just a year before they moved in together. There was nothing before that. It was like she hadn't existed before she walked into his life. Finn leaned back, tension building behind his eyes. He checked the phone call again, the one from the distorted voice. Still untraceable. Then he remembered the photo albums. The ones taken during the break-in. Maybe someone wasn't trying to hurt Lila. Maybe they were trying to erase her. He heard the front door open and quickly shut down his screen. Lila walked in carrying 2 bags. She smiled weakly and said, "They were out of tomatoes." Then she paused, sensing the air had changed. Finn stood in the kitchen doorway, arms crossed. "Lila, sit down." She stopped. "Why?" "Because I need to know who I just proposed to." She flinched. Set the bags down slowly. "Ethan, I looked into your records," he said. "There's nothing before age 19. Your birth certificate was faked. Your driver's license is recent. You've been lying to me." She sat down at the table, her hands folded in her lap. Her eyes brimmed with tears but didn't fall. "I didn't want this," she said softly. "I didn't want you to find out like this. Then tell me the truth. Now." She was silent for a long moment, then let out a shaky breath. "My name's not Lila Jensen," she said. "It used to be Elise Marin. I was born in New York. My parents died when I was a teenager. I was alone for a long time. Then I met someone. He was charming, powerful. I didn't know who he really was at first." She stared at the table. Her voice trembled. "His name was Dario Vega, an international arms dealer. Very dangerous. I was barely 20 when I realized what he was. By then it was too late. I'd seen too much. And when I tried to leave, he made sure I couldn't." Ethan didn't interrupt. "I was rescued during a raid. FBI DEA International Task Force. They offered me a deal. I testified. Gave them everything I knew. Names, deals, routes. And in return, they put me into witness protection." She finally looked up, eyes raw. "That's when I became Lila. New name. New life. I was supposed to disappear forever." "Then why didn't you?" Finn asked, his voice quiet but firm. She wiped her eyes. "Because I met you." Finn felt something crack in his chest. "I was supposed to move again. Start fresh in another state. But then I walked into that bookstore and saw you. You were reading some spy thriller and complaining to the cashier about how inaccurate it was. You made me laugh. And I felt safe. For the first time in years." Finn's voice dropped. "So you left the program?" "For me." She nodded. "Yes. I told them I wanted out. That I couldn't keep living like a ghost. They tried to convince me, but I refused. I disappeared on my own. No contact. No trail. I thought it was over." "It's never over," he said bitterly. "You know that." She broke down then, silent tears rolling down her cheeks. "I didn't mean to lie. I just wanted a normal life. With you." Finn sat down slowly. His mind was spinning. Every memory, every moment they had shared now filtered through a different lens. He remembered how cautious she always was when strangers asked questions. How she hated having her picture posted online. How she flinched at certain sounds, like helicopters overhead or the slam of a car door. It all made sense now. He covered his face with his hands. Jesus, Lila. She reached for him, but he pulled away. I don't even know who you are. You know who I am here, she said. With you. That's the real me. He stood up again, pacing. You brought a target on both of us. They found you, it means Vegas people are still watching. Maybe they've been watching for years. I know. He stopped, turning back to her. And you didn't think I deserved to know? I'm trained for this. I could have protected you. I didn't want you to have to, she whispered. Finn shook his head. He didn't know what hurt more, the betrayal or the fact that he still wanted to hold her. You said yes to my proposal. Knowing all this, I said yes because I love you. He stared at her. Do you know how many people would kill to find someone like you? Her voice cracked. Do you know how many people would kill to find me? Silence fell between them. Finally, Ethan walked to the door. I need time to think. Where are you going? She asked, panicked. To do what you should have done from the beginning, he said. Make sure we're safe. He left without another word. Side, the sun was setting, casting long shadows on the street. Ethan drove to a quiet spot near the cliffs and sat in his car. The ocean crashed below. Wind howled around the windows. He felt like the ground had shifted under him. Everything he thought he knew was gone. But one thing remained. Love. As twisted and complicated as it was now, it was still there, stubborn, burning, painful. He pulled out his phone and made a call. Yeah, a voice answered on the second ring. It's Ethan. A pause. Well, damn. Thought you were dead. I need help, Ethan said. Off the grid kind. Clean IDs. Travel options. Maybe a ghost cabin in the mountains. What kind of trouble? The kind with long memories and big guns. The voice sighed. Say no more. I'll send what I've got. Ethan hung up. He looked at the ring on his finger, then back at the ocean. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring. But one thing was clear. If he stayed with Lila, he wasn't just choosing love. He was choosing war. The sound of the laptop fan was the only noise in the room, spinning faster as Ethan ran decryption software over the stolen files. They had found the device during a hasty raid on a safe house outside of town. An old contact of Ethan's had tipped him off. It had been abandoned, but left behind was a black laptop with military-grade encryption and no markings. Now, 3 hours later, the screen flashed. The final layer of security peeled away. Finn leaned forward. The folder was titled Directive Black Echo. Inside were names. Dozens of them. All in bold, all listed by city and code numbers. And beside many of those names was a red slash. He scrolled down. Then he saw it. Jensen Lila status, locate and eliminate Tier 1. His blood ran cold. Another few rows down, he saw other names. All familiar. People who had testified in the Vega case. Informants. Witnesses. Most had red lines through them. He stared at the screen, jaw clenched. Lila was next. He closed the laptop slowly and looked across the motel room where she sat, curled up on the edge of the bed, hugging her knees. The late-night news flickered on the TV, sound muted. Her hair was tied back, her eyes fixed on nothing. We have a problem, he said. She looked up quickly. What is it? He walked over and handed her the laptop. You're on a list. And most of the people on it are already dead. Her hands shook as she scrolled. When she found her name, she pressed a hand over her mouth. I thought I left all this behind, she whispered. You didn't, Ethan said. No one ever does. She looked up at him. What do? We run, he said. But this time we do it my way. By morning they were gone. Finn moved fast. He burned their phones, ditched the car, and used back channels to buy 2 clean identities. He drove 6 hours straight through back roads and small towns, using tricks he'd learned in the field, changing routes often, watching for shadows in mirrors, switching cars again and again. But by the 3rd night, Ethan noticed something unsettling. They were still being followed. It was subtle. Car too far back for comfort. A man lingering too long in a cafe. A black SUV parked just down the street at every stop, never close enough to make a move but never far enough to ignore. Lila noticed too. She stopped sleeping. She kept looking over her shoulder, her body stiff and tense, her voice barely above a whisper. "How do they keep finding us?" she asked in the dark one night. "I don't know," Ethan admitted. "But they're professionals. Maybe they tagged the laptop. Or maybe they have someone feeding them intel. You think someone's watching us now?" "I know they are." He loaded the Glock and set it by the nightstand. They moved again the next day. Desert roads this time. Motels with flickering lights and thin walls. One night in a trucker town, Ethan caught a man watching Lila too closely in the diner. He didn't say anything. But later, when that same man was waiting outside near their car, Ethan made it clear, without a word, that approaching them would be his last mistake. Still, the pressure was mounting. They needed help. Ethan reached out to one person he trusted more than anyone, Jack Ramirez, a former intelligence officer turned private fixer. If anyone could trace where the leak was coming from, it was Jack. They met in a storage facility just outside Tucson. Jack was a lean, sharp-eyed man with a permanent smirk and a cigarette always tucked behind his ear. "You look like hell," Jack said when he saw Ethan. "You should see the other guy," Ethan muttered. Jack turned serious when he saw Lila. "So this is the girl with the storm following her." "I'm not a girl," Lila said, voice flat. "I'm a witness with a bounty on my head." Jack whistled. "Right. Let's see what we've got." They opened the laptop again and gave Jack the file. He scanned it quickly. "This is real," he said. "And recent. These cross-offs, they're not symbolic. These people are dead. And someone's paying a fortune to finish the job." "Can you trace it?" Ethan asked. "Already did," Jack said, typing. Signal bounced through proxy layers. But one of them messed up. Short bounce in Madrid. Too short to be accidental. Probably one of Vega's lieutenants. "I thought Vega was locked up," Ethan said. "He is," Jack replied. "But his network isn't. The word is, someone's trying to clean house before they push for his release." Lila looked up, horrified. "You mean they're planning to get him out?" Jack nodded. "Wouldn't be the first time a monster slipped through the cracks." Ethan cursed under his breath. Lila whispered, "They're killing anyone who could stop it." "Exactly," Jack said. "And unless we get ahead of this, you're next." "What do we do?" Ethan asked. Jack leaned in. "You need to disappear. I mean really vanish. Off-grid cabin. Cold weather. Fake snowmobile accident if necessary." "No," Lila said suddenly. They both looked at her. "I'm done running," she said. "This ends with me." Ethan stepped forward. "Lila." "No," she said, firmer now. "I ran once and people died. I'm not running again." Ethan saw something new in her eyes. Strength. Fire. "She's right," Jack said. "We can't run forever. But we can bait them." Ethan frowned. "You're suggesting we set a trap?" "Exactly," Jack said. "Leak false info. Let them think they found you. Then we hit back." Ethan hesitated. He didn't want to put Lila in more danger. But he also knew they couldn't keep dodging bullets. "Fine," he said. "But I call the shots." Jack smiled. "Wouldn't expect anything less." That night they made their plan. Jack sent out a digital breadcrumb, An intercepted message suggesting Lila would be meeting a contact in a remote airstrip in New Mexico. Then they waited. Trap was set. And the hunt was on. The mountains rose like ancient sentinels around them, silent and cold. Ethan guided the battered jeep along the narrow gravel road, every bump and twist sending dust into the sky. The silence in the car was thick, only broken by the hum of the engine and the occasional cough from the air vents. Lila stared out the window, arms wrapped tightly around herself. The land looked endless, wild, safe in its emptiness. But she didn't feel safe. Not yet. Ethan didn't speak until they reached the rusted gate half buried under snowdrifts. He stepped out, opened it by hand, then drove through another half-mile into the woods. Cabin was barely visible, tucked between tall trees, roof weighed down by years of leaves and time. Smoke curled from a chimney. A dog barked once, then went quiet. "He's here," Ethan said. Lila looked at him. "You trust him?" "I trust who he used to be," Ethan replied. "Let's hope that's enough." They parked beside a log pile. Before Ethan could knock, the door opened. A man stepped out, tall, bearded, wearing an old army jacket and carrying a shotgun casually over his shoulder. His eyes were sharp, sunken with time, and locked straight on Ethan. "Took you long enough," the man said. Ethan nodded. "Good to see you, Clay." Clay Bishop didn't smile. He looked at Lila next. "She the one they're hunting?" Ethan only said, "She's the one I'd die for." Clay studied her, then stepped aside. "Come in." Inside, the place smelled like wood smoke, dust, and old whiskey. There were maps on the wall, stacks of survival manuals, and a few war medals hidden under a cracked photo frame. Clay handed them blankets and soup without a word. He never asked unnecessary questions. Later, while Lila slept in the back room, Ethan sat by the fire with Clay. "You know what you're doing?" Clay asked. "No," Ethan admitted. "But I know who we're up against." Clay lit a cigarette. "I heard whispers. Mercs moving around. Prussians. Colombian hairs. All paid by someone big." "It's Victor Soren," Ethan said. Clay's hand froze midair. "I thought he was dead," Clay muttered. "So did we all." Clay shook his head. "If he's behind this, you're already in hell. You just haven't hit bottom yet." Ethan didn't argue. The next day, Lila asked Ethan if she could make a call. He hesitated but agreed, under heavy protection and a scrambled line. She reached out to someone she hadn't spoken to in 7 years, Maya Rivera. Maya had once been trafficked by the same crime ring Lila helped expose. She was only 16 when Lila got her out. The last time they'd spoken, Maya was under police protection, afraid to even say her name. But she answered the call immediately. "Lila," her voice cracked. "Maya, I need your help." Within hours, Maya drove across the state line to meet them. She'd grown into a strong, confident woman with a scar above her eyebrow and fire in her voice. They hugged for a long time under the trees. "You saved me," Maya said. "I never forgot that. Never will." They sat in the cabin as Ethan and Clay kept watch outside. "I've heard rumors," Maya said. "About Victor. About the hit list. I work in trauma shelters now. Girls come in sometimes with stories, same tattoos, same methods, same names." Lila asked, "Do you think he's alive?" Maya hesitated. "I think someone's keeping his empire running. Maybe it's him. Maybe it's a ghost using his name. But whoever it is, they're cleaning house, and you're at the center of it." That night, Lila couldn't sleep. She sat by the window, watching the wind move through the trees and let the memories come. The courtroom, the glare of cameras, the smell of metal and sweat and fear. She remembered the way Victor looked at her as she took the stand. Cold eyes like blue ice, not blinking, not human. He never shouted. Never showed anger. Just smiled like he knew something the world didn't. She remembered every word of her testimony. Crimes she revealed. the things she saw, the bodies. And she remembered how, after it was all over, they told her Victor was dead. Killed in a prison transport ambush. Body burned beyond recognition. They gave her a new name. Told her to forget. But she never could. The next morning, Clay found footprints near the river. Fresh ones. Heavy boots. At least 3 sets. "They've found us," he said. Finn nodded. "Then let's move before they move first." But Lila didn't flinch. "No. This time we make them talk." Ethan looked at her. "What?" "We take one alive," she said. "And we ask who's pulling the strings." Clay raised an eyebrow. "Dangerous game." "I've been in danger my whole life," she said. "Time to stop hiding." They prepared quickly. Maya stayed behind in a hidden tunnel below the cabin. Lila wore black, her hair pulled back tight. Ethan rigged motion sensors and Clay dug out his old sniper scope. When the mercenaries came at dusk, they moved like ghosts, 3 men dressed in black, silent and fast. But Ethan was faster. He dropped the first 2 with rubber rounds, non-lethal but painful. The third turned to run, but Clay stepped out of the shadows, barrel pointed at his chest. "Try it," Clay said flatly. They tied the man to a tree, stripped his weapons, and waited. Lila stepped forward, her voice calm. "Who sent you?" The man spat at the ground. "You're already dead." Ethan pressed the gun harder to the man's throat. "Wrong answer." The man laughed. "You think you're the first? There's a whole list. You're just the last one standing." "Victor," Lila said. "Is he alive?" The man didn't answer. But his silence spoke volumes. She stepped back, her face pale. "He's alive." "Not just alive," the mercenary said, smiling now. "He's building something. Something bigger. And when it's done, you'll all be dust." Ethan silenced him with a blow to the jaw. They left him tied there and packed what they could. "We need to end this," Ethan said as they drove away. "But we can't do it alone." Clay stayed behind to cover their trail. Maya came with them. As they drove into the night, Ethan made another call, this time to someone deep inside a government agency. "Remember that favor you owe me?" he said. "I remember," the voice replied. "You're cashing it in?" "Oh, yeah." "What's it about?" "An arms dealer," Ethan said. "A ghost. And a woman who's not running anymore." The safe house was quiet, tucked deep in the Colorado pines, far from any town or signal tower. Federal agents guarded every entrance. Drones flew overhead. A private medical team waited nearby, just in case. Every inch of it had been designed to protect Lila. But Ethan knew it wasn't enough. Not against Victor Soren. He paced the room, his hands clenched tight. Lila sat on the couch across from him, pale but calm. Her eyes followed him like she already knew what he was thinking. "You want to fake my death," she said softly. Finn stopped walking. "It's the only way." He sat beside her and took her hands. "They'll never stop hunting you as long as you're alive," he said. "But if they think they've succeeded, if they believe you're gone, it might force Victor to come out of the shadows." She looked down. "You want me to disappear forever?" "I want you to live," he said. "I'll do the rest." Lila didn't speak for a long time. Then she nodded. They moved fast. Ethan called the agency contact he trusted, Agent Harper, a woman with scars of her own from chasing ghosts like Victor. She agreed to help under one condition. "You need to make it real," Harper said. "No leaks. No hesitation. It has to look like she's really dead. Body, blood, the whole story." "Understood," Ethan said. Harper brought in a team of tech specialists and forensic experts. Together they built the scene, a remote cabin burned nearly to the ground. Dental records altered. DNA samples swapped. A mangled body, unidentifiable except by planted evidence. The media picked it up the next day. Witness in arms trial killed in remote cabin explosion, the headlines read. Photos of the flames. A charred outline. Lila's name. It worked. Within hours, chatter on the dark web spiked. The bounty was marked fulfilled. New targets appeared on the hit list. But none with Lila's name. Ethan and Lila stayed silent, hidden underground in a facility guarded by armed agents and biometric locks. But Ethan couldn't shake the feeling in his gut. Something was wrong. He checked the access logs twice. He asked Harper to scan for digital leaks. Everything came back clean. Till he didn't sleep that night. He sat by Lila as she dozed lightly in the narrow bunk. When morning came, Ethan went topside for air. The agents were switching shifts, moving slowly through the fog. It was quiet. Too quiet. That's when the first shot rang out. It hit the guard beside the gate, clean, silent, straight through the neck. Ethan shouted, drew his weapon, and ran for the entrance. Gunfire erupted behind him. More guards fell. The surveillance feed cut out in static. Ethan burst into the main building just as the lights flickered. 2 men in black tactical gear had already breached the hallway. Ethan fired 3 rounds, 2 hits, 1 down. But it was too late. Lila was gone. Her room was empty, the restraints on the bunk slashed clean through. Blood trailed down the hallway. A shattered comm device lay under the table. Ethan sprinted through the halls, heart pounding. More agents lay unconscious or dead. Then he saw them. A black van speeding down the back road, tires kicking up dirt. Inside, through the tinted glass, Lila's face appeared for a second. Her mouth moved. Ethan! The window closed. He ran after it, firing until his clip ran dry. But the van disappeared into the trees. Silence returned, broken only by sirens in the distance. Ethan dropped to his knees. Harper found him minutes later, bleeding from a cut above his eye, mud on his hands, his face frozen in shock. "They took her," he whispered. Harper crouched beside him. "I'm sorry. Someone on the inside sold you out." Ethan looked up, rage in his eyes. "Find them." They scoured the logs again. This time they found it, an access point hidden deep in the system disguised as a routine maintenance check. Someone had rerouted camera feeds and shut down sensors 10 minutes before the attack. Harper traced the signal back to a burner account used by a man named Kelman, a mid-level analyst with clean records and a hidden offshore account suddenly bloated with cash. By the time they reached his apartment, Kelman was already dead. Poisoned. Clean. Professional. A warning. Harper slammed her fist against the wall. Victor's cleaning house again. Ethan didn't respond. He was already planning the next move. 3 days passed. The agency tried to track the van, but it had switched plates and burned out 2 GPS shadows. Ethan worked alone, using his own contacts, chasing whispers in old crime circles. Finally, a lead. A private airfield in Arizona. A plane had landed the night of Lila's capture. No flight records. No names. Just a tail number that didn't exist. Ethan followed it to a warehouse near the border. Inside, he found blood. Not a body, just traces. And a message written in red across the wall. "You took her from me. Now I take her from you." It was signed V. Ethan stood in the center of that room, fists trembling. He thought back to the first time he met Lila. How quiet she was. How she laughed like it surprised her. How she looked at him like he was something safe in a world full of knives. And now she was gone. Taken by a man who was supposed to be dead. He stared at the wall, reading the message again. "Now I take her from you." But Victor made one mistake. He underestimated the man she loved. Ethan left the warehouse and vanished for 2 full days. When he returned to Harper's office, his eyes were darker. His voice lower. I'm going to get her back, he said. Harper nodded slowly. You'll need help. I don't want help, Ethan replied. I want names. I want locations. And I want clearance. Harper handed him a sealed file. He's moving her out of the country. We don't know where yet, but I can get you 5 hours of satellite support and 2 clean passports. Ethan took it. That's enough. Do you know what you're walking into? Harper asked. Yes, he said. You might not come back. I don't care. Harper paused. She means that much to you? She's everything. That night, Ethan packed only what he needed. His Glock, a suppressed rifle, a folding knife, 1 photo of Lila, and a blood-stained ring he'd once planned to put on her finger under a sunset sky. As he stepped into the night, wind howling around him, he whispered her name like a promise. He was going to find her, no matter what it took. Compound was hidden deep in the Carpathian Mountains, where maps faded into fog and trees whispered in languages no one remembered. High walls, electric fences, guards on every path. No one entered without Victor Soren's permission. No one left alive without it either. Ethan didn't wait for permission. He arrived under cover of night, soaked from a 2-day climb through ice and silence. He wore black, carried a silenced rifle, a sidearm, and something far heavier, rage sharpened by days without sleep and a heart burning for one reason. Lila. Inside, Lila was alive, but barely. Victor's men hadn't touched her. Not yet. But the cell was cold and windowless. A single light bulb buzzed above her. And Victor? He came in every morning. Not with fists, but with words. He wanted something else. Regret. He asked about Ethan. He asked about the trial. He asked if she still believed she'd won back then. She never answered him directly. She watched him. Learned his patterns. She saw the twitch in his left eye when he mentioned betrayal. The small crack in his voice when he spoke of his daughter. The empty vodka bottle he left behind each time. And she knew. If she was going to survive, she couldn't wait for rescue. She had to stall him. Break him. Peel him apart from the inside. So one day when he leaned against the wall and said, "You destroyed everything I built," she replied, "No, Victor. You destroyed yourself." He looked at her, surprised. She smiled. Men like you rot from the inside. You just need someone to show you the mirror. For a moment, Victor didn't move. Then he laughed. You think you understand me, little bird? I understand enough, she said. Enough to know you're not here to kill me. Not yet. You want something else. You want to win. You want the last word. He walked away without speaking. But the next day, she wasn't in the cell anymore. They moved her to a room with a window. There was food. Heat. A locked door, yes, but comfort. It was a mistake. Because that's when Victor's daughter noticed her. Her name was Anya. 19. Pale. Thin like glass, but with eyes too old for her age. She came in carrying a tray of food and said nothing for the first 3 visits. But on the 4th, she spoke. You're not like the others, she said. Neither are you, Lila replied. Anya didn't smile. He says you ruined him. He ruined himself, Lila said softly. Anya stared at her for a long time, then whispered, If I show you something, will you promise not to tell? Lila nodded. Anya came back later with a piece of paper, crumpled, old. On it was a list of names. Some crossed out. Some not. Lila's was there. The top. You were supposed to die, Anya said. But he's waiting. He talks about you when he's drunk. Layla leaned forward. Why are you showing me this? Anya hesitated. Because I hate him too. That exact moment, miles below the compound, Ethan was making his move. He'd mapped every entry point, watched the guards from a ridgeline for 2 nights. Then he slipped through a drainage tunnel used during the rainy season. He surfaced behind the east wall just after midnight. Silently, efficiently, he took out 3 guards using tranquilizer darts. No alarms. No screams. He found the generator room and knocked out power for 6 minutes, long enough to erase security feeds and reroute 1 camera loop. Gave him his window. He climbed the main building's service shaft and emerged on the 2nd floor. Then he saw her, Lila, through a cracked doorway, sitting in a chair facing Anya. Ethan burst in without warning, gun raised. Lila turned, her eyes wide, then full of tears. Ethan! He pulled her into his arms. Anya didn't move. You're him, she said quietly. The one she loves. Ethan lowered his gun but didn't let go of Lila. Why are you helping us? He asked. Anya looked at her hands. Because he locked my mother away. Said love made her weak. I don't want to become him. Footsteps echoed down the hall. Anya snapped her head toward the door. Go. Now. The basement leads to the forest. I'll open the gates from the control room. Ethan and Lila ran. Down 3 flights. Through a boiler room. Past a narrow corridor lit by flickering lights. But Victor was waiting. He stepped from the shadows with 2 armed guards, gun pointed at Ethan's chest. Touching reunion, he said coldly. Ethan raised his weapon. Let her go. Victor smiled. You think this ends in a shootout? You're smarter than that. I'm desperate, Ethan replied. And desperate men don't hesitate. Then Anya's voice crackled over the intercom. Let them go, father. Or I'll broadcast everything. The names. The accounts. The secrets. Victor flinched. You don't have the access codes, he hissed. Yes, I do, she said. Mother gave them to me. Silence. Then the lights went out again. Ethan moved first, diving left, firing once, then twice. The guards dropped. Victor vanished into the darkness. They ran. Alarms screamed behind them. Red lights spun through the halls. Gunshots rang out from above. But they reached the basement, found the old tunnel, crawled through wet gravel, breathing hard. Lila stumbled. Ethan caught her. You okay? She nodded. Just keep going. They emerged into the forest under a half-moon sky. A chopper was waiting. Harper had sent it after intercepting Anya's warning. As they climbed aboard, Ethan looked back at the compound, flames rising from the western wing. He didn't see Victor, but he knew the man wasn't dead. Not yet. Beside him, Lila pressed her forehead to his. You came for me, she whispered. Always, Ethan said. Until my last breath. They lifted into the sky, wind roaring in their ears. Behind them, the lion's den burned. But ahead, there was still the final hunt. 'Cause Victor Soren wasn't finished. And neither were they. The safe house was nothing like the last one. This one sat on a quiet coast in southern Portugal, wrapped in stone and vines, with waves crashing just beyond the olive trees. No guards. No guns. Just sunlight, salt air, and the slow breath of safety, if only temporary. Lila woke to the sound of Ethan making coffee in the kitchen, his arm wrapped in a sling, his jaw still bruised. She touched the scar just below her collarbone, a reminder of the bullet that nearly took her life as they escaped Victor's compound. They both should have died that night. But they didn't. Anya had stayed behind to finish what they started. She detonated the explosives in the West Wing just as Ethan and Lila cleared the forest. Harper's team had watched the fire from satellite. No one came out. No bodies were recovered. But the world believed Victor Soren was dead. And that was enough for now. Lila stepped onto the small balcony. The sea breeze hit her skin like a memory. She breathed it in and let herself believe just for a minute that it was over. Inside, Ethan poured 2 cups and joined her. You slept through the night, he said. That hasn't happened in months. Maybe we're getting soft. She smiled. I hope so. They sat in silence, watching the sun rise slowly across the waves. His hand found hers. He squeezed gently, like he was checking to make sure she was still real. I don't trust peace anymore, she said quietly. He nodded. Me neither. But I trust you. Her eyes turned to him. Even after everything? I never stopped. She leaned into him, resting her head on his shoulder. Sometimes I wish I'd never testified. Never gone into witness protection. Just stayed invisible. But then we'd never have met. She looked at him. Was it worth all this? He thought about the blood. The chase. The betrayals. The nights they thought they'd die. Kiss she gave him when she thought it might be her last. Yes, he said. Every second. Later that day, they drove into a nearby town to get supplies. Lila wore a scarf around her hair, sunglasses over her eyes. Ethan kept one hand near the holster under his jacket, just in case. But nothing happened. No one followed. No strange faces. Just quiet people living quiet lives. Lila reached for a small music box at a market stall, something hand-carved with a winding key. Played a soft lullaby she remembered from childhood. Do you like it? Ethan asked. She nodded. That night after dinner, he brought it out again, this time with a small box beside it. She stared at it, already crying before she even opened it. Inside was the ring. The same one she'd left behind in a pool of blood the day Victor's men had taken her. It was clean now. Repaired. Whole. Ethan knelt in front of her, bruised and bandaged, but eyes steady. I don't have a plan, he said. No backup, no map, no promises I can't keep. Just this. She laughed through her tears. Just this. He smiled. Just me. All of me. No secrets. No running. He opened the box. Will you marry me, Lila? For real this time. She couldn't speak. She just nodded. He slid the ring on her finger. Fit perfectly. She pulled him into a kiss, long and quiet, the kind that didn't need anything more. That night, they lay in bed with the windows open, the ocean humming in the distance. They talked until dawn, about everything, about nothing, about tomorrow. They didn't hear the footsteps outside. Didn't see the figure watching from the cliffs, hidden by darkness, binoculars pressed to a face that didn't blink. A man. Silent. Waiting. A small radio buzzed on his belt. A voice whispered, target located. Confirmation visual. The man lowered the binoculars, smiled, and disappeared into the trees. Inside the house, Ethan and Lila slept in each other's arms. For now, they were safe. For now, love was enough. But shadows don't sleep forever. If you enjoy my videos, please like, share, and subscribe. It helps my channel grow, and I will make more good videos for you.